Igual creo que esta cuenta, ¿se la prestaste vos, Pato, a la que es WXS
Sí,
Bull?
sí, es una de mis cuentas que uso para hacer seguir todos los partidos. Todos.
Sí.
Mirá vos. ¿Y cómo te va con ese?
Hello, fine people. Welcome to another episode of Nexus eSports Edition. This is your host, Daigo, and we have a very, very interesting episode, and we're gonna talk about eSports, but in South America, which I believe not many, even most of people that are even in the industry of eSports are very familiar with. And with us, we have a very special guest. His name is Ignacio Estanga?
Yep, that's correct.
Oh, sorry, Agustin Estanga. I'm apologizing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's my second name, so it's cool.
Oh, okay, sorry. Do you have a nickname that you go with, or?
Yeah, it's TheArgie.
TheArgie.
Yeah,
yes.
the Argentinian guy.
Yeah, TheArgie. Yeah. Oh, that's why. I never I never thought about that. So, and I think people might have heard of you through tweets. I mean, through Twitter. I think you're really, really active through Twitter, and people started knowing you through them. But before we get started, I mean, for the people that don't know you, can you give us a bit of a background? Like, who are you, and how did you get involved in esports?
Well, first of all, you already said my name and my nickname, so I think we got that covered. I live in Argentina, in Buenos Aires. I'm 23 years old, and my history of esports probably started with watching Day 9 talking about Starcraft 2 when it was about to be released. And then I like instantly fell in love with esports and the whole concept of it, because I knew about Starcraft Brood War, but I never really paid much attention to it. I was like, yeah, Koreans are pro. Yeah. And that's it. But then StarCraft 2 came out, King of the Beta, and pretty much I had this decision of, either I was dating a girl and she hated StarCraft 2, and it came to the point where I said, okay, you know what? I'm really sorry, but StarCraft 2 is just too good, and you're gonna have to leave, because it was like that progression towards that moment. God, it was really, really dramatic, But I can say that I'm one of those guys that can say that Day 9 already, took its toll on a girlfriend. Like,
oh my God,
he's probably the reason I broke up with that girl back then. So that's how I got into esports.
Well, I think no one from now on will doubt your commitment to esports. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Oh man, that was definitely really hardcore on my part. And yeah, from then on I started, playing the game. I got the game as soon as I broke up with her. I bought StarCraft 2, placed in Gold League, and I got really involved in just state of the game and the game analysis and the game behind the game, actually, like reading all those articles of each one of the bloggers and Team Liquid and all that. And then I said, okay, I think we don't have a podcast in the Spanish-speaking world.
Yeah.
Like State of the Game.
Yes.
So, and I didn't even research it. I was just convinced that there was no such thing as a podcast in Spanish. So I decided to do it. And I started also to commentate a lot of videos in Argentinian Spanish. Mm-hmm. And it has been working really, really fine so far.
Amazing. And before we get in depth to StarCraft 2 scenario in South America and specifically Argentina, do you mind if we talk about the overall status of esports within South America and Argentina? if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the state of esports here, it's still growing up. I mean, it is growing, but we have as South America as a whole has the problem that it still needs to be taken as something really mature. Like, we don't have the seriousness that probably North America or Europe or Asia has. Through all stories and like getting to know people from all around the world. I think the South American scene shares a lot of experiences and local scene with people from the Southeast Asia, like Australia and that scene.
Yeah.
That we're really much alike. Yeah, we have the same problems, and we're still trying to prove the sponsors and big brands that they're not just throwing money at gamers. That this is actually an industry.
Yeah.
And we're in that part of the game right now.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, to give a bit more, to give foot to the subject, if you will, I would like to also share my experience because I'm from South America as well. I'm from Paraguay. And I think that was maybe almost 10 years ago, that I was very frequent in the LAN party, part of Paraguay, but exactly. It's like a very casual esports, if you will. It's not something really, really official, but there were casual teams and whatnot. But that's the only thing that I'm familiar with. And I believe, well, it's not that I believe, I'm quite sure still that in Paraguay, that is actually the current situation, at least in Paraguay. And, you guys, people that don't know, Paraguay is actually between Argentina, Brazil, and Bolivia, just, to give you just a geography. And, that's the thing. There's not such a thing as a true esports, industry, at least in Paraguay so far. I mean, there are no official teams, Paraguayan teams. There are no sponsors. And there are no pro gamers, pro athletes, within esports that say, this is my job, this is what I'm really passionate about, and I want to make it as a living. So, how is that now in Argentina, for example? Is that present?
Well, in Argentina, we have a scene, and it's growing. But, I mean, we have established teams. We have pro players that consider themselves cyber athletes or pro gamers. There's I think that the first pro gamer of this new generation of Starcraft 2 came with Capoch. He's a really good Protoss player, and he has a personal sponsorship. He got the trip to Korea when he was in WCG, and he has a lot of attention. Has a lot of media attention. Mm-hmm. So we have a scene that supports the players, but it's still not as mature. I mean, we can't prove a brand that we are legit in a way, and that we're gonna actually return. We're gonna give them a good return of investment, and that we will grow and they will grow at the same time if they support us. We're still trying to struggle with that, but as a result, the LAN scene has almost, disappeared in Argentina. We don't have big LAN parties and all.
Okay, and you mentioned you're from Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina. I mean, is Buenos Aires the only city where it's at least frequently active within esports, or are there other locations within Argentina that are as well?
We have pro players in all the country, but every single time we have a big event, if we have a WCG, WCS, or any kind of qualifiers, we usually have them in Buenos Aires. It's just because, I don't know, it seems that most pro gamers live in Buenos Aires and they just say, okay, we can secure a venue here, we can't do it in the other provinces. So we're just going to do it in Buenos Aires, and the rest of the country just has to deal with it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's pretty much how things run here.
I see. And talking about esports in Argentina, since when did Argentina start in the trend of esports industry, if you will? It has been very, very recent?
No, it's been around for quite a while. We had esports, as in pro gamers that play a game, we've had some. We had very good Counter-Strike players, FIFA players, and they had like moderate success back probably like 5 years ago, because they are all sponsored by a local organizer, and they're like, okay, you play and you will be at my events, and that's how things go. and I will sponsor you with equipment, trips, and all that. But eventually, those organizers just disappear, and the companies just suddenly stop getting all the sponsors that allow them to have the players, and a new one shows up, and the cycle just goes on and on. But it's been probably around for 5 years. It's just strictly eSports, not, like a gaming con or anything like that.
Yeah, I see. And, okay, well, we've been talking about, and mentioning a bit, Starcraft 2. Is Starcraft 2 the only, game that is within esports in Argentina, at least popular, or are there others that are same popularity or more?
Well, in the scene of esports, we have really active Counter-Strike 1.6 and Source teams. And they get paid salaries and they have trips. FIFA players, the same thing. We have players that are being sponsored by big brands, and they also get trips, to all the South American corner, probably Mexico too. But, it's the same thing. We're still very South America centered. We're still not sure about sending players overseas, I think. I think that the industry is not really sure about sending players overseas.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I think you mentioned it before, it's just, a matter of sponsorship and the fact that there are not many, at least there's not much, economic support for sending team players, right?
Yeah, there's not that much support from major brands because they don't, we as either gamers or entrepreneurs in the industry, we have to talk to them in their language. As I like to tell people, several teams, because I always try to help them out in getting sponsors. I tell them, okay, you don't have to tell them, hey, I won WCG and I won this and this tournament, please sponsor me. Because they're gonna just give you a mouse or a mouse pad or a keyboard just to, get out of here, have this, bye-bye. But I tell them, you have to talk to them in their language. You have to tell them, okay, yeah, I will help your brand. I know your product. Please give me a chance to show you that I can improve how your brand is seen here within the gaming community in Argentina and maybe South America. And we're still trying to grow as both pro gamers that get into business within the teams, and the brands still have to trust the pro gamers and that they will eventually give you something in return.
Yeah, I see. And, okay, let's talk about, let's start talking about Starcraft, I guess. No, because it's, you're within the scene of Starcraft 2, which is, oh man, it's one of the populars. Obviously, League of Legends, it's the largest community, I would say. It's still, it's an arguable point. It's arguable, but it seems pretty predominant. But then Starcraft 2 comes along, and it's a very big game, and it's growing now with the soon beta launch at Anaheim of Heart of the Swarm. It's going to grow even bigger, I would say. How many teams, professional teams of Starcraft 2 are there in Argentina currently?
Currently, you have, I'd say, maybe 6 teams at the moment. Active teams, we only have 6 that get sponsorships from major brands. And, those teams they have some sort of professional way of managing things. They have a manager, they have a coach, and they have the players. But they are kind of mercenary-ish in the way they approach the team managing point, because one day if suddenly League of Legends gives you bigger numbers and can get you more sponsors, they switch their focus entirely to League of Legends, and they just forget about their Counter-Strike team or about, Dota players. So within just StarCraft 2 related teams, we probably have 6. That their main focus is StarCraft.
Yeah, I see. So there are other, and how many League of Legends teams are there by the way?
We probably have 4, but they share some, we have 4 exclusive League of Legends teams, but we have, all the other 6 have their League of Legends divisions.
Oh, okay.
And it's still very hard to manage League of Legends players because the logistics in it that is involved, and having 5 guys at the same time logging in, practicing, and taking things seriously when they don't have a salary or any active return like a Starcraft Pro might have because it's just a single player. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Well, and let's talk about the events themselves so far. I mean, how many events have you been involved recently within esports and in the Argentine scenery?
Well, here in the scene, I was with. Well, I mean, first of all, I had my first event here in Buenos Aires that I wanted to cover just as a photographer, and then I was eventually going to write for a blog that I had with a friend of mine. And we show up, and then they say, "Okay, we need the StarCraft 2 players. Please play." And I was okay. I'll play. And that was the Thermal Take Arena. That was one of the Blizzard-sponsored tournaments that we had. Then we had Technofields and WCG 2011. Mm-hmm. Those were the events that I was in. The thing is that here in Argentina, if you don't have Blizzard's official support, it gets really hard to know, well, this event is happening this day, this place. Because if you don't know the forum, if you don't know their Facebook page, it will never get to you. That's how I've lost like many events till I eventually got so involved in the community that nothing happens if I don't know about it. Finally, I reached that point, but if you're just starting to get in the community, you have to really struggle to get to know where all those events are happening. But yeah, I started with 3 events, and then eventually I ran my own.
Wow.
My own event, yeah.
I see. And now that you mention it, I mean, the difficulty of finding out about recent events within the esports community, is there a hub of information, be it a website or other source of information, through other media, I mean, a hub of esports, Argentinian or South American esports related information? Is there a unique source where you can get that currently, or is it absent?
It's not that it's absent, it's that it's really fractioned because from the start, each clan, as in each team, be it League of Legends, Starcraft, or whatever, they want to have their own website, but they don't want just the team website. They want a Team Liquid to unite them all. So everyone is trying to be that big website, get all the big numbers, but the end result is that we have a fracture community. We have just guys from one city on one website, or the other guys in one forum. So we're still lacking that because we have so many websites that are trying to offer the same thing. Yeah, I think that's why we're so still, struggling.
Okay, I see. And what about let's talk about the events in details that you mentioned so far. Yeah. How many people are coming to these events in terms of people that are the audience themselves that are?
Yeah. Well, those events that I mentioned are usually, and this is something really important in the Argentinian community, most of those events are not just StarCraft 2 or eSport events. They're usually one of those game cons, or certain brand wants to get some exposure because they're releasing a new product into the market, and then they make an event just to demonstrate a new technology. And as an excuse, most players get contacted and they're like, okay, do you want to play with my new processor, with my new video game card? And that's how events are run here. There's not that many just StarCraft 2 or just eSport events. So they have hundreds of people going to those events, but some of them are overclocking enthusiasts, modding enthusiasts, or, StarCraft 2 people. We have a lot of people going in there, but they're all from different branches.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So is it safe to say that probably not many people, or at least not as you would like, people go to these events? I mean, because it's just as a brand or as trying a new tech or piece of hardware. So it's not an official esports event. That's where you're getting at, right?
Yeah, that's the thing that really harms us, because we have to, let's just say, when we had the WCG 2011, it wasn't actually just a WCG that you only saw the players playing their games and that. It was a big event, and they ran, and within that big event, we had all sorts of technology, not just video game or, computer technology, but computer technology developers from all around the country and international just decided to host that big event. And Blizzard decided, okay, yeah, we're going to have the WCGs in there because it looks cool. And that really, masks all the numbers, because they all use the big number of the convention.
Okay.
But we really don't know the actual number of people that just went there, to see some Starcraft player. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And let's talk about the community itself then. You've been very familiar, and you casting now, and you're having, we'll talk about it as well, you're having a podcast show. How do you see it growing, or how do you see, let's start with that. Can you make a comparison with the NA community with the SA, if you will, South American community?
Yeah. The NA community is, okay, they already went through their, the trial by fire when they decided to say, okay, we're going to run the first MLGs and the first big tournaments. They had their trial by fire, and they started building up a crowd. We still lack a big event, so we're just hiding our numbers in game cons, as I previously mentioned.
Yeah.
And as a result, sponsors don't get to know the teams and how they behave in a professional environment, so they are less willing to interact with either players or managers from teams. So the NA scene is really mature, is what we're aiming for. We really want that NA, in a way, I would put it like an evil geniuses kind of way to talk business, that they have their relationships with the sponsors and they get along very well. We want that. We don't like, that Korean regulated eSports scene, that they have their own organism, just supervising all eSports related activities. We don't like that. We favor that big capitalist, approach that the NA scene has.
I see.
And our scene is just new. It's just newer.
Yeah. And your interaction with the Argentinian esports community, how would you describe esports fan in Argentina? Are they vivid fans? Have you met? I guess you've met a lot of passionate people.
Yeah. My first experience with them was in Starcraft. We were starting to run them probably around Winter Arena, the MLG Winter Arena. The first pay-per-view event, that was our first, the first Starcraft that we had here. There was a scene that I didn't know of, but they're all really passionate, and it's like your regular soccer fan that gets really emotional during all the games, and he's screaming, why were you doing that? Why? We have that kind of fans. They're really avid fans.
Mm-hmm.
And, when you meet them face to face, there's never an issue. Like people that meet in the forums and they're like, yeah, I hate you too. If I see you in the ladder, I'm gonna cheese and things like that. Things happen online, but it doesn't translate in real life. So we have a really good community in a way, and they're all really passionate about the game.
Nice. No, that's really good to hear. Was it tough to organize the Starcrafts? Is there a lot of support for these events?
Well, the first one was a huge success. I don't know why, because it was the one that we least talked about in Facebook, because we have to manage everything through social media that either the forums or the players themselves they go to Starcraft's handle. So we have to create accounts on, let's just say, 4 different forums and the Facebook, and be like, yo guys, we're running a Starcraft. What do you think about this? And it's really tiring. The first one, we had 60 people in it, and they were really excited, and I was like, whoa, 60 guys watching Starcraft. It was just beautiful. Then the second one we got 30, and the third one we got 20. And I don't know why eventually we're losing people, and we are actually giving them better quality because we bought a big projector, just so we can stream have the four matches at the same time in the screen.
Wow.
Yeah, we bought that. I mean, the guys that sponsor me directly, they bought that, and they said, okay, if you think that this is eventually, gonna have a huge boom, yeah, we support it. And now we're not having the numbers, and we're wondering, where's everyone? What happened to this initial 60 guys that were in here? So the barcrafts are getting really hard, but we also started running tournaments, and we had a lot of success with that, actually.
Nice.
So,
Nice. That's really good to hear. Let's talk about the players, the pro athletes in esports, if you will. Is there some that you can mention? Because I guess the people who are listening this are very unfamiliar with. They probably know Dignitas Killer, which is from Chile, but is there other players? Well, you mentioned one before, just before.
Yeah, I already mentioned Kapaj.
Yeah.
He played for Team KD. He recently moved to Team Azures here from Argentina, but he has played in lots of teams, and he's a really good player. Then, of course, the big name is Phoenix from Incredible Miracle. Then we have Dignitas Killer, that you already mentioned him. Major from Mexico. Maker, also from Mexico. And we have some rising stars from Peru, like Pashka. He's a really good Peruvian player. He was knocked out in the actual qualifier for the World Championship Series, but he won the online qualifiers. He beat really big names. So yeah, we have good players. We have good quality of players from Brazil. There's Potiguar. He's also a really good Brazilian Protoss player. But yeah, it's like Brazilian players, I know there's a lot, but I don't actually know them because the Brazilian scene is so different and they speak a different language and all that. But yeah, we have really good individual players. Definitely.
Nice. And, okay. Now let's talk about, the events themselves. I mean, how much, you mentioned WGC.
Yeah. WCG, it was, it's the World Cyber Games. It started with big events like Counter-Strike, Starcraft Brood War. It eventually moved on to Starcraft 2 and all that. I think it was in 2011 that they switched to Starcraft 2. And we had the first one in Argentina. And it's kind of hard because of the same thing that I was telling you, that they always run it within an event. Mm-hmm. So it's not just dedicated to StarCraft. So the players, they feel stranded within an event. They're like, okay, what do I have to do? Where do I have to go? Why is, the StarCraft 2 stand far away and I have a speaker right in my face? When people set up the event, they don't expect a player to have the certain needs because they don't know the game, they don't know the players, and they don't know how he can react to certain things. I remember that the actual big event for the WCG was on a main stage that was all shaky, so the players were complaining about that. And we have our very own Argentinian in control. That is a huge guy, He's really into weightlifting and all that. Yeah. And every time he stepped on that main stage, we were like, oh God, please don't break. Because it was, a very shaky, a shaky stage. So, I mean, yes, that was for WCG. We didn't have really good organizers there because Blizzard has their own set of rules. And you have to follow them. And the organizers were not very good when it came down to, explaining the community, hey guys, we're sorry, we have to run the event this way, because we can't get approval in less than 30 days from Blizzard in North America if we want to change something within the event. And they came along, they showed up in the front and said, okay, things are like this, if you don't like them, don't play. And, pro gamers felt really bad about that. And eventually, the Battle.net forums got flooded with angry posts from Argentinians. And some other players saying, okay, if you complain about this, we will never get a WCG done here in Argentina. So there's mixed views on how we should help them, actually get a better event.
Wow. So, all right. From what you just told us, then, wow, it's okay. Basically, there's a huge lack in terms of organization. Because, for example, I interviewed recently Clutch, Joshua Gray, and also MLG Wigan, DB Wigan, David Bent. And they're both very involved with MLG. I mean, Clutch, he's a host, an interviewer, also an actor. And Wigan, David Bent, he's a Starcraft 2 administrator or referee. And we talked about how, what do their jobs involve. And for example, David Bent was really nice to explain and give us a quick run through of his days of he going there very early to a MLG event day, around 7 or 6 a.m. and getting ready and making sure that everything will be set up. So when the players come, everything is organized. Yeah. The player knows where to go, knows the maps that he's going to play. If there's something on the schedule and the brackets, if that everything is, pristine. So with what you've told us, there's a huge lack in that area. Not even in infrastructure, but in also organization. The fact that they don't announce any information previous to the 30-day, margin of, if you have any complaints, please let us know in this time frame. They don't actually do that. They just jump in the last minute and they say, well, these are the rules. If you don't like them, screw you, basically.
Yeah. We had that a lot and then again, in the WCG, we have some players from Rosario. That is a province, like, not that far away, but still, you have to plan a trip here to Buenos Aires. You have to be like, okay, I'm going to take my day off. I have to let, everyone know at the office that I'm not going to be there for that day. So you have to plan this ahead of schedule. It's really hard to plan that. And what happened was that the organizers of the event told everyone, okay, we're not going to have online qualifiers. We're really sorry about that, but we can't do that. So you guys have to be here Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Those are the days of the event. Please be here if you come from, Rosario. So everyone said, okay, that's really cool. We're gonna let everyone know here in the office. And suddenly they switched that and they were like, no, it's not Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's gonna be just Friday and Saturday. And it's gonna be on a different time frame than the one that we first mentioned. So everyone, of course, was like, why are you doing this? Please, why? And a lot of really good players were not able to participate because of that. And sometimes you show up at the venue. This happened I think it was on the Thermal Take tournament that I mentioned. And we don't have both the LA language version and the NA version. Because some of us just bought the NA version because we love the voice actors in the game. And of course, the servers just fused and you have both NA and LA in the same server, but there's still like different language, clients within StarCraft. And if you don't have both of them in the computer installed, you can just switch. So we had that issue. We had to reinstall. Sometimes we show at the venues and they don't have the correct patch, so it has to update, and we're forced to play best of ones, Wow. And that's how I eventually got a 4th place at a tournament. I know it's really silly. It was just, like silverish gold player, and I got to 4th place, and master players got knocked down in the first round. It was just silly.
I see. And let's talk about then if we can, obviously. I mean, I leave it up to you if you want to discuss it and disclose this information in the interview.
Yeah.
How the structure of these events work? I mean, is there a third party that organizes this, and or does Blizzard directly involved in administrating these events?
Well, Blizzard Latin America, I think it's based in Buenos Aires because I've never heard, of any other offices in the rest of Latin America. and they have organizers on each country that provide them with either venues or places, forums to let them know, what the community news are in their sites. So here in Argentina, it's a company that was just, game servers. I mean, it was first of all just servers, then it moved on to Counter-Strike servers. And eventually I think they partnered with Blizzard, because every single event that Blizzard does here in Latin America, they're there organizing it. And they've had, mixed success, just to say, something good. Because if you search on Battle.net, like the World Championship Series of Peru, they had issues. WCG 2011, they had issues. They've always had issues with that, and Blizzard just refuses to switch, their partnership. And I don't know if they are, or if Blizzard Latin America knows or believes that they are the only ones that can actually run an event, because no one else got contacted to actually host a Blizzard event. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. So that's how the scene works here. It's just the easiest way to imagine it, if you don't want to, if you want a too long didn't read version of it, let's just picture a world in Blizzard North America where if you want to run a small tournament, you have to talk to MLG. If you want to run a big tournament, and it doesn't matter if you are IPL or NASL, you have to talk to MLG. Like, everything goes through MLG, even if you are talking to Blizzard. Like, it happened to me when I ran my first tournament, that I said, okay, I would love to run a tournament, Mr. Blizzard Latin America, what can I do about it? And he said, oh, you should talk to these guys. And I'm like, no, I want to talk to you. I know that they run their events, but I want to do my own event and not, like, have them as sponsors or anything, because I don't like the way they work with Starcraft. And he just kept forwarding me to that company, and I said, okay, I'm just going to run it without Blizzard support, because, apparently there's a weird partnership that we're not aware of, and I can't do anything without having them in the scene too. So we are either forced to partner with them or just run our individual tournaments without Blizzard support.
I see. Yeah. Well, I guess, you're describing a sort of a monopolization, basically, of esports tournaments, which, it shouldn't be, it's neither here nor there, basically, and hopefully it will change soon enough. And if somebody's listening to this, hopefully they'll get some attention. Yeah. Before we get to other subjects of esports in the Latin American scene, and to give a closure of these, organizations and esports events and whatnot, what do you feel is positive currently right now in the Latin American scene? Well, and specifically Argentina in this case, and also what do you see that it's very, very lacking? I know we talked about this just now, but other points maybe.
First of all, the good things about Argentina regarding esports is the people. You have very competent, not just willing individuals, but they're all just, young professionals. Like, they're entrepreneurs in either, video production, audio experts. I myself, I work with a guy that he's only 17 years old, and he already, almost finishes his degree in graphics design, so we have competent individuals that can help the community. They are so willing to help everything that they will literally just help you with a tournament. Even if they get no money, they will work days, day after day, just to run a big tournament and feel like they're actually giving something to the community. We have players that coach without getting nothing in return, and and we just have that. We just have really good people that wants to see esports, not just Starcraft, but esports as a whole growing. And in the bad parts, I think we have that, it's not just the evil corporation, it's us, that we are willing to still be in their tournaments. We don't have much people, casting their tournaments, but we have people playing their tournaments. We have people saying, hey, if we don't shut up and we stop making posts in Battle.net, they will just forget about StarCraft 2. Like they play with the fear of the players, and some of the pro players are like, okay, maybe I shouldn't post in Battle.net because maybe they'll read it and I'll never go to Korea or to a WCG event. And then again, because I just complained about something. And I think that is the biggest issue, that they prey on the fear of the players. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Well, thank you for clarifying that. And well, moving on from that subject, which is really important, I would discuss more about this and other details, but if we do, I think we'll go
have a separate show.
Yeah, well, it's a separate show, separate show entirely. And actually, it's when I first approached to you, we sort of talked about it, and you saw the episode as well. I know, because you told me before. There was that episode of State of the Game, and DJ Wheat, In Control, Idra, and there was somebody else. I don't know if it was Axlav or another player. They were talking about casting and how, because it was when Cloud, was it Cloud?
Yes.
Yeah, when the Cloud incident happened, right?
Yeah, the Cloud incident.
Exactly. Let's label it like that. Idra made an interesting comment. At least he was giving an example, right? And he said it was an interesting point of view, which I really liked. He said that it's interesting how, for example, language affects casting, in the sense that, for example, if you're watching a soccer match and it's not the same if you shout goal in Spanish or, you know, any Latin American language as if you were shouting goal in English. It doesn't have the same
ring to it.
Exactly, ring and emotion and impact.
Yeah.
So, in having said that, what would you say, and you being a caster as well, what is your experience in that sense with casting in Spanish? Is there really a difference? How do you feel when you hear and yourself or others casting in Spanish, and how would you compare it with English casting?
Well, first of all, when I do commentary in Spanish, when I start casting events, you have that emotion that the language has, and you don't sound weird. Like, Idra used a very offensive word, but he said, okay, you're gonna sound dumb. Okay, I'm not using the exact word, but he said, you're gonna sound dumb if you yell goal like that. And here we have the same thing if we yell GG. For instance, when I'm casting an event with my co-caster, that's Takashi, a good friend of mine, we yell GG, and we do it like the Koreans do. We cast just like Koreans. We're always like really excited about what's happening, and we like to give people not this overseeing, like super observer point of view, but more like the guy that's trying to make things interesting. Sometimes I know that a certain tech path is in the map, but I refuse to talk about it. And when I'm casting in Spanish, I refuse to talk about it, and people forget about the production tab suddenly, and I said, and suddenly mutilisks, and they're like, whoa, those mutilisks, what are they doing here? He totally played me. And people people that watch the stream in Spanish, they really respect that, because it adds a lot more of excitement, and it actually forces you to be watching the screen, or, you know, you can do it like radio commentary, and it's still really, really exciting to hear. And whenever I find myself casting in English, I have to do this really quieter, like more analysis type of casting.
I see.
I have to sound like more, not just professional, because you can be professional like doing both styles, but you have to be less excited about things. There's some casters that, of course, are so notorious for being super excited, like Husky and Orb. They're really good at, you know, showing you and giving you that emotion, and you feel really like compelled to scream from your chair, or they're like, yeah, go Jinro or something like that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And have you watched a lot of casting in Spanish or streams in Spanish? Are there very frequent?
Yes, I actually, started like getting to know the scene and who's who. And yes, I think that all the major ones I got them covered. There's only one guy I'd like to talk about personally. That I'd like to talk to personally. That I still haven't. But the rest
Yeah.
of them I know or I regularly watch their streams. There's a Chilean commentator, and his nickname is Seba Jaco. He's really good. He has this Chilean coolness in a way. I don't know how to describe it, but Chileans are really, really. They have this suave style
Yeah.
of casting. So he's more of a laid back. He kind of shares the same commentary style that Artosis or like more laid back commentators have. Then there's Slayerfad. There's a guy from Venezuela, I think it is, or Colombia. He's he casts with a lot of mannerisms from his country, and he has a huge following because of that, because he's really true to his roots.
Nice.
And but still, he lacks the excitement of a soccer match.
Nice.
And then we have Freedom. He's a Peruvian commentator. That's the guy that I want to know because I really love the way he talks in a game. He has endurance. That is another thing that it's really good for a caster, that you have to be able to cast for an event for 9 hours when you start, because you're supposed to cast long tournaments, and if you have that endurance and you don't have a co-caster, and if you can do it, you're awesome. So I saw him casting the World Championship Series in Peru, and I was impressed. And then there's the team we assembled here with Takashi and Gaston, that is G, another friend of mine, and we try to give that soccer feeling to the game.
Nice. And actually, I'm very blessed. I think it was thanks to one of your tweets that I managed to watch the stream, and that's how I got in touch with you. And it was the first time that I saw at least a stream in Spanish that was not in Spain Spanish. It was something very close to home, at least for me, and it was really Latin American. And it really did have that flavor of, as a soccer match, as you well put it. And there is that cultural factor, as you say, as you explained to us, in terms of how would you cast a Starcraft 2 match, right? In terms of how much analysis you put in, or how much of that, emotional drive that we Latin Americans are so well known for, in terms of, being very excited. So it's too happy. I remember, and this is just, obviously this is because of a cultural difference. I remember, I met a German, a guy, a really nice guy, and actually a friend of mine, here in Canada. And he said, he was talking to another German friend actually, and he mentioned to her just that we Latin Americans were too happy. That he didn't understand, that it seemed very exaggerated. And I'm like, what are you talking about? How can you be too happy? Happy is happy.
Yeah.
At least for me. But anyway, that's just me. But it was really nice to see something like that in a StarCraft 2 casting. And yeah, I'm very, very looking forward for, the growth of eSports and in Latin America. And hopefully, and thanks to you guys, I mean, as you said, there's a lot of stuff that needs to improve, and there's a lot of major points that need to be improved. But it starts with you guys, and that's it. You got to start somewhere, right? And and thanks to you guys, I mean, you guys are doing all the work, and not only the players, but also you guys that are trying to expose esports for what it truly is, and doing works as administrators, hosting events, casting, and whatnot. I guess you put a lot of your own money and time as well for these events.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, when we ran that event that we organized with the guys from Geek Lounge, that is a gaming bar where we run the barcrafts and all, they said, okay, we would like to run a StarCraft tournament with you guys. And I said, okay, that's great. And it's going to take time. And I remember that the week that we had the actual tournament, I had 2 midterms, and I think I totally botched them. I still have to know my actual, my actual score in those, but I think I totally botched them because I was so focused in getting the event done. Like, it was like everyone just coming to this big event, and I said, I want to do things right, and I want to prove people that you don't need a lot of money to get things done in a professional way, and to get all the players happy. That's all I wanted, to have happy players.
Yeah.
And we eventually did, so it was really awesome.
No, that's really fantastic. It's really fantastic, and I think it always starts with that, I mean, even here in Canada, there are these events that happen in a span of 2 or 3 days, and it's just people that invest their own time and money, and things work out. And well, having said that, I think we did cover. Well, in broad specs, we could go very into the specifics, and it would be, especially with that interesting part of, of how things are in esports scene in Latin America, we could go hours and hours. But I think we covered the basics. I don't know if there's something that you would like to add to the conversation, any topic that we might have, that I might have overlooked.
Well, first of all, I would love to warn people that in the esports scene, it's more about warning and, just a big heads up to the entire community that the first, the road to actually helping esports is not just paved with, big brands, that you can trust players, you can trust small teams and start growing things from there. You can talk to a local bar, you can talk to a local, like game retailer or something, and tell them, okay, can you please help me out with this LAN instead of, calling it eSports, Starcraft. Just not to sound like a freak, you can just tell them, yeah, I'm doing this big LAN, can you please help me out? You can actually get their support. I wasn't sure that I was going to get support, but everyone just said, yeah, sure. What do you need? You need computers, you need headsets, mice or anything, I'll give you. It's cool. Just make sure here's my Twitter, here's my Facebook, just mention it on the stream. And I was like, whoa, huge. Like people have to rally behind that and not just, hey, I'm going to go to this big organizer, because they surely know their thing because they're still in business, right?
Yeah.
Like most of the times here, we have a saying that he who doesn't run, flies. But here in Argentina, even if you fly, things can go wrong. So we always try to have like a very cautious approach when we're talking about people that we can trust in the scene.
Yeah.
But I think that if you start with the players and the small teams, you get the most honorable and guys that are committed to the scene that are possibly there. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
No, that's amazing. And well, so then to give a closure to the interview, is there any, how can people, firstly support you and support esports in Latin America, or at least, get attention and look for it and whatnot? What links, streams and whatnot?
Well, first of all, we have this Facebook account that we share with our casting team. That is facebook.com/TheArgie, SC2. Then we have the Twitter. That's my Twitter, and it's @TheArgie. And my Twitch TV channel is Chaos Longshot, and that's the stream that I'm gonna start using to all my events. If I'm always running events in there. And let me see if I'm forgetting one. Oh yeah, and my YouTube channel, and that is youtube.com/Sieg. That is SIEG Agus. That is my name, AGUS.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where I put all the VODs, like my storage of VODs and old tournaments. But yep, that's the way you can find more about, the whole scene and a little bit more about my casting team and myself.
Nice. Oh no, I'll be sure to put all those links that you mentioned right below in the description of the podcast. And well, last but not least, any shoutouts that you would like to give for the esports community?
Well, I would like to give a huge shout out to a new website that is really trying to help, everyone get on the same page, even, both website and philosophically speaking, and that is esportgamers.net. They've been doing a really good job, at building that site, that Team Liquid that we needed.
Nice.
Then I would like to give a huge shout out to Team Furious Gaming, that is at Furious Gaming Team probably on Twitter, and Team Fallacy at Team Fallacy on Twitter too. They really supported me on my casting both in English and Spanish. They're really great guys. Both of them are small teams, but they know their business and they know that they're in it for the game. They really want to help esports grow. And yeah, and of course my co-casters and observers, the Bro Observer, that is at SC Takashi and at G Hyun, that is GeeHyun. Those guys are great and they're always helping me out here with everything esports related.
Nice.
And of course you for having me on the show.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. I mean, it's I can't be more excited to find out that there's a esports scene that is at least present, not even if it's not in Paraguay. If it's present everywhere.
Yeah, and I can't believe I almost forgot, about the big guys that made that one tournament possible. That is Geek Lounge, the gaming bar here in Argentina.
Yeah. You
can find them on Facebook as facebook.com/geekloungear.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Agustin, thank you very, very much for being with us today. And yeah, again, it's thanks to you guys, you and the whole team in Argentina. Esports is finding a very good, nice foothold in Latin America. Well, and this is all for today's podcast, folks. Please make sure to follow TheArgie and all of his co-casters and the Latin American scene. It's a very, very interesting thing to see casting done in Spanish, and also to follow these Latin American players that are there. They're very, very good and are present. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and follow. And we'll see you guys next time. And